Translate, Monkey Paw Labs, and Zoom.
Okay, here we go.
Hey guys, how you doing? Oh my goodness.
Hey.
Jeez. Fair warning, everyone. Been dealing with a lot of shit, so I was trying to get energized for today. Been looking forward to our podcasts, but I had like 4 massive cups of coffee, so I've also been running to the bathroom like a racehorse. And if I gotta go in the middle of this, much apologies. With an Asian bow.
You
Anyways,
sound ready to go.
how are you guys doing?
I'm doing great.
Good. Doing
Yeah.
good.
I need more than that. Come on, I'm doing great. Good. Let's.
Okay.
Well,
If you wanna if you want me to tell you the truth, I am just like a fat person because I
not
gained
fat.
3 pounds again this weekend. So I'm a little bit upset about that. But apart from that, I'm very good and I'm doing great. So I just try to erase that from my mind and keep reminding myself that I'm doing great.
I
I'm
think
doing
you
great.
give me a
You are
run
doing
for
great.
like my money in terms of like just being totally self-deprecating. Of course, the difference between you and I is I don't think you believe it. I definitely believe
You guys
all
are
the
terrible.
negative shit I say. What about you, Sarah? Update us.
Well, I'm feeling very calm right now because I just spent an hour listening to calming music. Um, just to chill, relax.
Calming music. Okay, all
Mhm.
right. I don't know what that means. You know, to some people,
Just
calming
like
music might be like heavy metal,
I think mine's more typical, just like pretty instrumental.
pretty instrumental stuff.
Hmm.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
soundtracks or.
Uh, some soundtracks. I don't know. I have a playlist of like every instrumental song I've ever loved.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay.
So
Right
I've
on.
separated out into the relaxing ones.
Right on. Okay.
Hmm.
In addition to all the na type music you listen to, I've been in your car. I know what's up. I know what's going on in there.
Yeah, yeah, you guys know what music I like.
Oh my God.
All right, guys. So, I just saw a little title on the bottom of our screen is Becoming Deserved. I assume that's up there because we're going to talk about some sort of Netflix documentary, right? And I'm going in blind on this. Yaz, you want to set this up? What do we? What did you guys watch? Since
Oh,
and
okay. So today we have a very exciting show for you. We are going to discuss a very recent Netflix documentary called Becoming, and it's about Michelle Obama and her tour, her 34 um, basically cities that she visited for her book as part of her book tour. So Becoming is also a title of her memoir. So today we want to talk about that, and I think it's going to be
I
a
like the way
very
you say words, Yaz. Her
okay.
her memoir. That
Memoir.
was very
Oh,
cool.
okay. So how do you say that?
Just her memoir.
Okay.
I know, I like the way you said it.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, no, I wasn't making fun of you. I'm serious. I like the way you say some words.
yeah. I think an accent is tricky because some people thinks it's cute. Some people don't understand you at all. So
Yeah, yeah, no, no, no. I mean, but both can be true when you think about it, right? So,
yeah.
I
you
mean,
know,
some other people who have the same accent as I do also don't understand me. So,
there's no real excuse for that, though. That's just
I know.
horrible. I'm
It's
sorry.
just it's just me.
Yeah, yeah. There's no excuse there.
Oh,
You just got to work on your talking game.
Yeah.
All right. So I interrupted you. Yes, her memoir.
Yeah.
So it's
mhm.
her memoir.
So here's the tricky deal. Yeah, Becoming the Book is Michelle Obama's memoir, but the Netflix documentary Becoming
Oh
is
God.
not her official memoir. It's just like the coverage of her book tours that she has done. So, and aligned with that, the documentary makers try to also cover some highlights of her like professional career as like first lady, and after that, and also her interaction. I mean, Michelle Obama's interaction with some of the fans and her book's audience.
Mm-hmm.
So it's more about that. So this becoming the Netflix documentary, we cannot call it a memoir. It's just like, to
Oh,
me,
I'm sorry. I'm so confused. So it's not a memoir.
no,
No.
no,
No, it's
no.
just a documentary on. All right. I mean, you guys, you guys tell me how am I going to react to this? You guys have a little sense of what my feeling going into this. You guys
Okay,
want me to tell it, or can you describe? Why don't you tell me how you think I feel about
okay. Well, before we get into
the
that,
subject of this?
let me tell our audience something. I think today's show is going to be really interesting because we have three persons. Number one person is me. I have watched the documentary and I have read Michelle Obama's Becoming book. So
And
I
then
have totally new perspective. We have this second person, which is Sarah. And Sarah, talk about
yeah,
it.
and then I watched the documentary, but I have not read the book.
Yeah.
All right, and many of you folks will probably be most impressed with me because I haven't read the book or seen the documentary, so
Yes.
I think we know where I stand on this.
And now I think now we can step into the fact that how Mike is feeling about this whole documentary.
Yeah, hopefully
Because
there are people out there, you know, sort of like me. I'm walking into this with an open mind. My initial thought when I heard that Netflix was producing a documentary on Michelle Obama, I was like, what? Why? Like, I mean, you know, like, what did she do to deserve it? Is essentially like my question. Like, what great thing that she did? Like, what great thing did she do that deserved a Netflix produced and distributed documentary? You know, the only thing I can think of was she was President Barack Obama's first lady. And you know, I know coming with that, you do certain things. And the second point is that's not to say I'm not like closed off to being a fan of her. I mean, I think her personality is cool. Her temperament is cool. So I'm really hoping that since you two saw it, that you guys are going to convince me that, hey, you know what, you should check it out. She is interesting. It was worth it. My question to you two, that hopefully we'll get an answer to by the end of this podcast, is: was this deserved? And I guess was the documentary well made? So
okay, so getting to the very crucial point that whether Michelle Obama deserves a documentary or not, I would definitely say yes to that question because I see no reason that she is less deserving a documentary than like Madonna or like Taylor Swift or Beyonce or other people who are doing tours, musical tours that now we see a lot of
well,
documentaries about
well,
them.
just to put it out there, I don't think any of those are deserved. I think it's
Okay. So I'm just saying that she's not.
I mean,
less
I
than-
think it's dumb waste of you know,
Yeah.
for I mean for the most part. So I avoid those at all costs, you know. And I'm not saying deserved as like, you know, uh, I'll let you finish because I don't know anything about it. You guys know, Yaz, especially you know where I'm coming from. So I'll let you try and hopefully there's other people out there maybe thinking the same thing. So hopefully they're sharing my point of view right now, which is walking into it not knowing much, but you know, being open to have my mind awaken. So awaken it, Yaz. Go ahead.
Yeah, so I don't want to talk about Michelle Obama as a person here again.
Well, why not? The documentary's about her.
No. Just in specifically in regard to your question that if she deserves it or not. Because as a person, I think that yeah, she deserves it, but also a lot of other people.
Yeah, but you see the difference where I'm coming from, though. I mean, there are people who like deserve it because as a person they've done well. I'm talking about like deserved as well. Like, I mean, did she do something significant that is an interesting story? There are people who, you know, like great humanitarians or philanthropists who do well, but I mean, they don't got no interesting story. They inherited money and then they gave some of the money away. You know what I mean? So, I mean, it's not just, one aspect of is it deserved that I'm like broaching it from, you
Yeah.
know?
Okay, so yeah, I totally agree with you that if we want to like just analyze it through the perspective of like her personality, she might not be the only person who is deserving such thing. Like there are a lot of other people who are doing like extraordinary like public services and extraordinary like achievements in regards to their education. So Michelle Obama is phenomenal. There is no doubt in that. But in regards to that, if she has an interesting story to tell that deserves to center a documentary around her, I would say again yes to that question, but
I mean, is it an
the other
interesting
question,
is it an interesting story? So let me feed you some questions to sort of structure where this is going to go, so we can sort of like, you know, answer these questions. How does the documentary start? Is it interesting? Like, what? I mean, openings to documentaries or movies are supposed to be captivating. There's some sort of like hook. What was the beginning of this documentary like? What is it called again for people out there? It's
called
Becoming.
Becoming.
Becoming. Okay, the opening of Becoming. Tell me what it's about.
But before we get into that, I I would like to say that I think generally her perspective as the first African American first lady is a very interesting one, and I think she has a lot of interesting perceptions on the events that occurred during Obama's presidency, and I think she has an interesting background. But saying that, I think the documentary could have done better in
Yes.
portraying her and her life.
Okay. I
Yeah.
mean, I get that. I get the uniqueness of the fact that she was, the first African American first lady. So that's a unique vantage point or point of view. I'm interested in that. I'm more interested in just the first African American president of the United States. So I think I'm more interested in that story versus the person that married that person. But I get it. So that was interesting. You thought there could be room for improvement. So that's your general outlook, Sarah, right?
Yeah,
And your
that's my general opinion of the documentary.
okay. And yes, to recap your general opinion,
Yes.
it's you think it was deserved. You think there was an interesting story going on
No,
here.
my overall like feeling is that yeah, definitely Michelle Obama deserves the documentary because she has such a unique and compelling story. Not because she was a first lady, but overall, the whole overall story that
Sure,
she
sure,
has. But
sure.
talking specifically about the documentary,
And there are a lot of people, let's just say it though, there are a lot of people with interesting stories. Yasmin, you have an amazingly interesting story. Sarah, you have an interesting story. I can give you and feed you an interesting story. So, I mean, there's got to be more to it than that. And we're talking about a very specific documentary too. So I would like to know
yes,
from you guys when you talk about it, not just does she deserve it, but is this thing any good?
yeah,
Becoming on Netflix. So, Yaz, do you want to set me up since I know nothing about it? Like, you say
yeah.
it's interesting. So, how do they set it up to, like, what's the hook?
Okay,
What's the hook?
you don't get me wrong. I said she has an interesting story as a person, and she deserves a documentary because her story is so
And I
unique.
caught that. That's why I'm asking you
Yeah,
too. Like,
my
let's talk
point.
specifically about Becoming as well.
Yeah, yeah. So specifically talking about the becoming, I'm more with Sarah on the point that was it a nice documentary? Is it a documentary that is going to convince me that Michelle or someone like you, like a person like Mike, is it this documentary going to convince people that Michelle Obama deserve a documentary? I doubt.
Well, I don't know.
Yeah.
Can you walk me through it? So once again, like, I mean, I'm so dying to know right now. How did it open up? Like, how did this? I get it. I get the generalized idea, but like, you know, let's start picking it apart to figure out why. So how does it open up? Like, what's so interesting about her in the beginning of this documentary? I mean,
So the documentary is opening up with a scene that we are following Michelle Obama's from like her house, from like hallway of her house, and we are walking behind. Actually, Sarah, like correct me if I'm wrong. Was that the opening scene? Because
So I have in my notes that I think the first scene was, yeah, she was walking out of her house into a car, and she is looks like she's getting ready for some event, and she's talking about her taste in music.
and she talks about what kind of so we are seeing Michelle Obama. So the setting point is that like bear with that because I wasn't sure if it was the opening because I watched it like back and forth. So I thought that my memory might be fuzzy, but yeah. The documentary starts with us following her from the hallway of her house to a black car outside of her house, and she is on her way to an event. And then we will see that she's on her way to do a talk in Chicago. It's part of her big tour, book tour, and so we are going to follow her.
yeah, I bet that's not fucking handy to put right up in front, the fact that you have a book in a documentary about you. I wonder if that was in the contract with Netflix. Anyways, did the Obamas produce this? By the way, I have nothing against them. I'm just getting
the Higher Ground Productions.
It is the Higher Ground Productions. Okay, so this is going to be a fluff piece anyways. Okay,
Yeah.
all right, so I'm not interested at all with that opening, but go ahead.
Okay, so we are going to follow her to the backstage of her like big auditorium that she is going to give a talk. And the talk that is not only her talking. The way that they arrange her like book tours is that there is usually a host, and that host is usually a famous person like Stephen Colbert, Oprah, and other famous people that they are going to interview Michelle Obama on a stage, and they are going to talk with her. And after that, talk about her book. And the topic of that, obviously the topic of the talk, the conversation between Michelle Obama and the host is usually about her book and her aspiration behind writing such a book. And then you will see like some footages of the fans and fan reactions. So basically this is the premise of the whole documentary, and you will follow her to different venues and different tours with different hosts. And in the meantime, you will learn a bit about her backstory, her family, her brother, her mother.
And I'm sorry for really pushing it. I get it. I know what a documentary is and what the basic elements are. What the hell is so interesting about this woman that captivates you in the first 5-10 minutes of it that'll keep someone to it, or is there not anything like that? In this documentary, because right now I'm not hearing anything unique other than the fact that she was the first African American first lady, and congratulations, whoop-de-doo. But I'd rather hear from your husband than the guy that actually got elected and ran the thing. You know, I'm not saying that she didn't do anything special. I know she had some work with health, even though I don't agree with any of the things that she talked about. Like, I thought her focus was completely wrong. But anyways, like, okay, so I get that she tried to do some unique things with the position that, you know, she was given. I understand that she's an extremely smart person, maybe 10, 20 times smarter than I am. But I'm sitting here listening, and I don't hear not a damn reason why I should watch Becoming.
Like, do you have anything to add to that? To say that, okay, let me ask you, Sarah, this. Because you haven't read the book, I can answer Mike's question that why I want to watch this documentary, although the beginning wasn't like that engaging. And it was quite like a very safe plot, let's say, for a documentary to cover the whole story. But let me ask Sarah this question: that after watching the first 10 minutes of it, was it something that you had like an idea like that? Aha, Michelle Obama is such a unique story, or she's such an
I
interesting
mean,
person.
like, I don't understand. I'm sorry, guys. I also don't want to go 4 hours on this conversation. So, I mean, you've read the book too. So, like, what makes her unique is I mean, like, what is it? Like, poverty stricken from a young age, lost a parent. Despite all that and the hardships, excelled, became a grade A student, full ride scholarship to where she fought for this. I mean, I'm not hearing anything. And how long are we into it? Or did she not do anything that special? I'm like dying to know. So what is her story? I mean, I didn't hear anything from the opening. Someone escorted her to a car.
Because it wasn't specifically in the opening.
I asked though, right?
Okay, so here's what I think. I actually started out watching this doc with my mom, and my mom made it 15 minutes before she fell asleep. And I think it took them quite a while, I think, and maybe in the latter half of the documentary, for them to get into more interesting subjects where they talked about social issues and race, and through like the lens of Michelle Obama's background. But I feel like I'm still lacking in her story. Like, I feel like I still don't know her story, even though I watched the documentary. So I'm wondering if the documentary is a better companion piece to the book rather than a standalone thing.
I'm really glad.
Okay, that would have been great to know. So, Becoming, is that also the title of her book?
Yes, it's also the title of her book.
Okay, see, I didn't know that at all. Okay, so Becoming is the title of her book. It's an autobiography, and is it an autobiography?
It's more of a memoir, because I don't think it covers her entire life.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
An autobiography covers the person's entire life.
Okay, but it definitely, Yasmin, so it definitely, obviously, as most books always do, covered way more of her life, right?
Yeah, and I told you in the beginning, I tried to tell you this, that, this is about her book, which is also titled Becoming.
Oh, sorry, I missed that. Okay, so it was tied to her book.
But yeah, exactly. So Sarah is right. This like documentary, it takes some time for the documentary to set up who Michelle Obama is. And
so let me ask you this directly to you, Yaz. Okay, let's get to the heart of it then. You know more than both of us. Yeah. So why to you, I mean, just very specifically, why to you are like one or two things that make Michelle Obama special to you?
Yes. Okay. I can answer that, but it's not based on this documentary. It's based on
I would just like to know. So
I would also like to know.
Great.
Okay. So the thing that makes her a phenomenal person in my perspective is her constant let's say effort to becoming. And that becoming is not like a static fact. She throughout her life, she tries to become different things. And basically that's the premise of her book. She comes from a very like average family. Let's say a humble, I don't know, I don't want to say like poor family, but her family wasn't advantaged enough. None of her parents had like any college degree, but she made the toppest universities in US. So she was like very hardworking. She could defeat like a lot of like basically wrong stigmas when she was like a younger kid in south side of Chicago. So basically she's coming from a very humble background, and she could achieve solely based on her talents. Don't look that you are tired. You are asking me, Mike.
I'm asking you, and it's not you that I'm yawning about. It's this life story. I've heard nothing, once again, I have heard nothing unique about this woman. You don't think hundreds of people out there, if you walk down the street, can give you a story like that?
Yeah, that's why I'm telling that there are other people who are also
So,
nice for the
so
stories
I mean, no,
deserving.
I asked for one or two things that are unique, and if the first thing that comes to your mind is she lived in an average household, she ain't unique.
Okay, so
I
like
actually feel like the documentary, like I felt like the filmmaker was trying to make her seem relatable and make her seem like any other American, and sort of humanize her. Because in the documentary, they talked about the really bad press that she got when Barack Obama first started campaigning, and she was speaking a lot, and I guess the news vilified her. I don't really remember
and
this, but it seemed like they were, because they also like had like anecdotal stories from other characters, other people around her in her circle, and it just seemed that they were trying to make her relatable. As to whether they achieved that, I don't know. But I felt like the documentary was less about her story than how she interacts with the public and their reaction to her.
yeah, your point of view is correct, Sarah, but I want to like again go back to Mike's point because Mike asked me that, "Oh, you are telling me that she's unique because she's coming from the average household?" Basically, no, she's not coming from any average household, and not every
I no
person
no no
from
no.
like
I mean, of course you said more than that, but I'm trying to make a point. You know
no,
what I mean?
I'm
If
also
I
trying.
ask you for the one or two things, and part of the first thing is that she grew up in a modest, household in the south side of Chicago, that is, I'm sorry, but that is not unique to headline a documentary story. You know
No,
what I
but
mean?
I also told you about like her struggles to defeat a lot of stigmas and try to make her way to
What
the
stigmas? What
toppest
struggles?
university.
What? She grew up poor? Lived in a poor neighborhood? There's a lot of poor people in a lot of poor neighborhoods. Okay? So, once again, the uniqueness. I mean,
The
I
fact that
would
she no
change my mind.
no
I love to have my mind changed. Like,
I told you
why is
that
she so special?
okay, let me ask you this. I told you about her struggle and she liked to go to, I mean, she found her way finally to go to the toppest universities in the US, which is Princeton and Harvard. So tell me that back in
Great!
80
There we go, finally! Okay, I
so
heard something. I heard something. There we
no,
go. Cause all
I
I've heard,
told you.
no, 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 no. Hey, look. We're just talking. I'm coming completely blind. So I didn't
Yes.
know she went to Princeton or Harvard. All I've heard up until prior to then was, she was the president's wife. She grew up poor, modest household. She struggled, and she tried to do good. Like that was nothing. Okay, this is something. All right. So throughout throughout her financial upbringing or background and family and living in a tough neighborhood like the south side of Chicago, she made it to Princeton and what other school?
Harvard
Harvard.
Law.
Princeton and Harvard Law.
In
Amazing.
the
Was it a
in,
full
in,
ride?
they
Okay,
didn't specify, I don't think, in the
so the thing
documentary.
It
is
doesn't
that
matter. She got in, right? So,
yeah, she got
She
in.
got it in the 1970s when she was part of only a handful of minority students at Ivy Leagues.
okay. All right. And she
Yeah,
studied law. All right. Did she practice afterwards?
yes, she practiced. But this is again, these things are not part of the this document specific documentary. So, but
But
I'm
she talked about her law
yes,
career a bit in the
yes,
documentary.
she talked about it. So Mike,
Hmm.
she went to the toppest universities, some of the finest universities in the US. If Harvard is not the toppest, let's call it one of the toppest. So she made her way from south side of Chicago to be part of like an elite, uh, let's say society that who are like fortunate enough to go to the Ivy League schools. And you have to keep that in mind that she's coming from a family who has been generationally kept basically deprived of opportunity. Her grandfather was a very smart young man. But because she was basically an African American, poor boy, he couldn't go to the college while he could be basically a doctor or university professors.
Mm-hmm.
So the systematic like racism basically kept her family and so many similar African American families away from some privileges of other like uh, white privileges of some other white kids. So basically, the fact that she was from south side of the Chicago and she landed on Princeton and Harvard, I think this is like the first big thing. But this is this.
I mean, that's a thing, and it's a special story, not exactly unique. You know, I mean,
Yes.
I grew up on the West Coast, the Bay Area, so the majority was the minority. And, you know, first generation parents of, you know, friends. And you hear terrible stories and you hear about, you know, people having to go to med school, you know, multiple times, you know, after coming over here, where war torn, lost family members, lived in shitty ass like parts of San Jose, and, you know, working their way up to get into a Berkeley, Stanford, you know. So these are not, you know, unique. It's special, definitely. And it takes a very special person and a smart person to be able to do that. But I want to just differentiate, you know, that, you know, there are a lot of people with that particular story.
So, yeah. So I totally agree with you. That's why when you told me that, oh, what is so special about her, I specifically said this, that throughout her life, she tries to becoming different things, and these different things are basically all let's call them different social status that the community on general public see as an excellent position. Like first she tries to become like a law student at Harvard, okay, but that's not it. After that she landed on a very like prestigious law firm and she was practicing law, but she decided that this is not what she likes because she wanted more. She wanted to help people. So she, after attending law school, after finding the best firm to work with and working there for a few years, she decides that now, okay, it's my time to like be more helpful to the public. So she quit her like prestigious job to work for a public sector and do community work. So
I don't think they talked about that in the documentary.
yeah, that's why Mike is asking me, because he asked me, okay, why she is a unique person.
Well, I mean, usually when you tell a story or a documentary, whatever the case may be. Hold on, let me get to a group. Blah, 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 blah. I'm acting as Jamie today as well. All right. You know, like for instance, usually you set that up right in the beginning. I mean, maybe they didn't feel compelled to because of the fact that it's Michelle Obama and she's, you know, a hugely known quantity. But for example, Sugar Man, right? I don't think many people would know who the hell this guy is, right? But immediately in the first 5 minutes of this documentary, you can say that he's this legendary, mythical, musical figure that disappeared. Rumors are that he's dead, and he sold nothing except for the fact that he was discovered in some South African town and sold millions, setting off this unraveling journey, right? You know, it's set up in the beginning, and that's why he's interesting. I mean, that's what I'm trying to get to, is like, what was so interesting, you know, about this. And from the sound of this documentary, it sounds like there really was no attempt to do that.
There are unique parts about that. I can like analyze that for you, but I think it is still not the time for me to get into that part. To tell you what the approach of this documentary in telling Michelle Obama's story, because this documentary is not
so I understand that it's not part of the documentary as well, and that's where these questions are coming from, because you're obviously describing, I asked you to describe the opening of it, and obviously it didn't do that. It didn't go into her uniqueness, her difference in her character or anything like that. That's why I had to ask, because I'm struggling to, you know, let alone wonder if I should watch the documentary, but like how much longer to talk about this that I'm being less and less interested in, you know? So that's why I asked. I wanted to know because I don't know. I know nothing. Okay, so now I know a little something. Thank you for that. So after graduating with a law degree from these prestigious schools, she went ahead and decided to, become a different person in a way by serving the public sector.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, but this is not part of the documentary. And this,
No.
All right.
yeah, and also that time is like
Forgive me
her
if I'm wrong,
meeting.
but I'm starting to hear that this is not a very good documentary.
I
Because the
I don't think
documentary
it's
tries
any-
to, yeah, the documentary tries to cover a different sides of her story, and which
But-
is the
but they don't really make it engaging, and they don't really have a clear narrative. The topics
totally
kind of jump around, and they try to cover a lot of topics, and it honestly gets kind of confusing because they not only talk about Michelle Obama, they also go into little side stories about her stylist, about her main security guard. They go into some side stories about some high school seniors that she talked to, which
okay.
I felt were very unnecessary.
So interested
No, actually,
in hearing
you know
about her
what?
hairdresser and stylist.
No,
Oh, dying.
Sarah, I will get into the part with this high school senior because I
Okay.
think, at least from my perspective, it was one of the best parts about this documentary, at least unique
Really?
aspects of the story. I will tell you why.
Okay.
But let me just wrap up quickly with the Michelle Obama life. Yeah, Mike, you are right. You said that, yeah, she decided to quit her prestigious career to be more useful for a community, and it was around the time that she met Barack Obama. And we knew throughout the book that Barack Obama was this person who also has like similar passions to serve the public, although he was also a graduate of Harvard Law School, but he has this like from the very young age, he also has this inclination to do public work and do community work. So basically, we cannot. I think part of the reason that Michelle Obama decided to left the law, practicing law, was also because that she met Barack Obama. So in a way that we can say that Barack Obama has also a positive impact on her life. But the
You'd hope
important
that the
thing
president of the United States has a positive impact on those close to
Yes.
them.
and you will learn throughout the book that all the years that Barack Obama decided to enter the politics and do different campaigns for Senate and House of Representative, and then House of Representative, and like becoming a senator, and then becoming and running then for president. Michelle Obama wasn't like an stand-byer. She never like set out to be just part of or be in the shadow of like Barack. She was either him helping side by side by helping literally running his campaign, part of his campaigns, or all throughout the years that Barack was like a senator. Michelle Obama was like a very successful person running a community hospital in Chicago. So she was like the executive director of that. So, and also in the meantime, her book is talking about her struggles as a mother and as a woman, which is a very aspiring and inspiring fact for a lot of like women who are dealing with like, which part of life they should focus on, whether it's their kids, whether it's their like marriage. So Michelle Obama is basically talks about also her struggles to maintain a balance between her family life, her like powerful, impactful role in the society as like a person who is doing some good for the community, and then later when Barack Obama decided to run for president, Michelle Obama was like a very serious part of his campaign because she was doing a lot of tours and she was doing a lot of rallies that Barack couldn't attend because he has to be in the Senate that time. So basically, the other interesting fact for me is that she wasn't basically only first lady. If Barack Obama could gain any success, part of it is also because of support of Michelle Obama. So they were supporting each other.
I actually think the most interesting bits of the documentary are showing how when she talks to people one-on-one or in small groups in the public, people seem like they are really uplifted by her, and that they can relate to her, and that she can I don't know, give them hope.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's one of the reasons why, I brought up, I'm like open to hearing more from her. And if she decides, her name gets tossed around sometimes in terms of like running for some position in office, and I always found a certain sense of like magnetism or charisma, coming from her. And like I said, her temperament, and I knew she was super intelligent or whatever. So, I mean, that makes sense to hear that, they're going to show that she has a positive effect on the public people. And I'm interested to see where she, goes. But I mean, I don't know anything about like, she holds the same position as many other first ladies, right? And I don't know when it started where first ladies started to think to themselves, you know what, I got to do something, right? I want to be known for like, say no to drugs. Who was that, right? That was some first ladies like agenda, right? Other than health, and I'm still iffy on the facts of where she was coming from. What was her thing while Barack was in office, while President Obama was in office, that she sort of helped push any piece of legislation or any sort of like fill me in on that, in that regard?
I think that she has done something about the marriage marriage equality, marriage equality, but to getting to that extent, I mean,
because you said
to
she
the
was more,
details of-
right? She was more than just a wife, right? You said, well, she did some stuff while
No,
Barack
I was talking prior to Barack becoming basically president, and prior
Okay,
to
I get,
yeah.
okay.
I was talking about like how she throughout all the
Meet
years
and
that
greets,
Barack was,
public engagements that he can make,
yeah,
admirably filling in. Okay.
yes,
Yeah, which is why I brought that point up at that point, because you were talking about how like the struggles of like balancing raising kids and work and having like this husband who's doing all these things. So I think that that made
Yeah, I mean,
her more relatable to
mothers
talk to
in
people.
general, right? When kids come and it's a career, that sounds tricky as fuck. So I get it. It's tough. All right. Go ahead. What else?
yeah,
What else
yeah.
should anyone know if you
Okay,
know?
so that was prior to Barack Obama's presidency, and that was her story. But prior to that, she wasn't all, basically she wasn't just someone. My point is that I want to get from all the things that I told you is that she wasn't just like deserving a documentary because she's only the first lady. She was very much more beyond being the first lady, even prior to becoming the first lady of United States. She was doing.
I gotta be honest with you. The timeline wise, from her beginning to uh, um, their daughters being born and her struggling with that career place, that doesn't sound like. I mean, anyone can take a story and make it super cool, but I'm just saying that doesn't sound very special or deserving to me. And Netflix. Interesting. I don't want to. You know what? Deserving was the wrong word to choose for this. Okay, because she is deserving, sure, but is it interesting so far? This her life story up until this point. I would say no. I would say it makes total sense that Joe Exotic got, maybe he's way less deserving. So deserving is probably the improper word to use in this situation.
Mhm.
I just don't find any reason for this documentary so far. I don't find any speciality or uniqueness in her story up until this point.
Okay, I will now answer what is the what is the uniqueness in all of that, I think. And Sarah also like mentions a little bit about that, but I will now
I
tell
want to
you.
hear from Sarah. So, what's going on then? Can you answer that at all? What's your perspective on like what makes her special outside of what we know? Barack Obama's husband, first lady, first African American lady, was an attorney, prestigious schools, two daughters, probably a great mom.
So I actually can't answer that because I don't think the documentary really gave me those answers.
Okay, great.
'Cause after watching it, I felt like I still didn't really know what her accomplishments were.
Okay, good.
Okay.
That's good to know. All right, Yaz, do you want to fill us both in then?
Okay, yeah. So far, the things that we have learned is that this documentary doesn't give you much of the backup story. So it's not, so in a sense, we know that it's very different from the book Becoming. So the documentary Becoming is not focusing on why Michelle Obama is Michelle Obama today. It's talking about something else. And that's something else that makes the story a little bit, makes the whole documentary a little bit more engaging, at least for someone like me, is the fact that this documentary centers around the impact that Michelle Obama has on other people and other communities. It's about how her story and her book like gives hope to people. So Sarah talks about the high school senior. These are, and she also mentions like Michelle Obama's interaction within a lot of like community group when she's talking to the group and people also like expressing her their beliefs. This is the important part because you see this documentary, in my opinion, is about the hope and the impact that Michelle Obama is giving to people. So it's not about only her, it's about her impact on people. And the thing that I wish this documentary could have
What
done
impact? Can
better.
you fill me in? What impact? Well, what are you talking about? What impact?
Okay, and I'm now talking about it. So we know that she is the first African
No,
American.
well, what impact? I mean, what impact? You said it had a profound impact on people, and you can see it. Like, what impact? What do they feel? Like,
Okay, they are
how they?
hopeful. You will see a lot of immigrant people from minority backgrounds, like immigrants, Mexican, people with like people coming from not advantaged like family.
Okay.
They are getting hope, and they think that they can be one day Michelle Obama. They can achieve similar things that she achieved. They are more hopeful. We see young people that now they are more hopeful to go after education because now they think if they want, they can achieve it. So basically, Michelle Obama is coming from an underdog in the beginning a position to becoming and achieving so much more. So her story and her book is giving hope to a lot of people who thinks that, oh, they can never achieve good things in their lives. And that's what in my opinion, makes a little bit this documentary engaging because it's about that, for example, that high school senior student that she was talking about, now her feelings and the impact that Michelle Obama's book have on her life because she sees the similar story and similar patterns that is happening in her daily life, and she finds similarity between her story and Michelle Obama's story. And she's now, even if in the past she thought, that's a high school senior student thought that she could go nowhere because she didn't have many connections, she didn't have a lot of a wealthy family, she didn't have like advantages of a lot of other people. And if she thought prior to all of this that she could basically go nowhere, now she has very much more hope. So she's hopeful to try, she's hopeful to go to the college, she's hopeful to take care of the her family. And there is one very basically to me there was there was one part of the
So
documentary.
5 minutes. I've listened to 5 minutes of generic fluff hope. Okay, right
Yeah,
on.
no, it's not generic. Giving hope to people is not generic, Mike. If you
It
can,
is generic. You can achieve. How? What are we gonna do? How do we improve the underlying problems in our community that continually in a cyclical nature forces us to repeat the same process that our parents had to go through? How? That's what I'm curious about. And that's why I say it's generic. I mean, you could point to anyone. I could point to Michael Jordan and give you hope. He came from nothing, but he worked hard. He persevered in the gym.
so his story is
Just generic hope, but what exactly did they do? So that's all I'm saying is I don't, is this documentary deserved? I don't know, but you know what this documentary sounds like? It sounds like a big ass ad for her book.
It is. I have no argument in that regards. That's why I'm saying that, what makes this documentary a bit more engaging for me is the fact it's the parts that they try to show the impact that she has on the audience by her book. That's the only positive side. And I wish that they could have shown more and they could have done more. But because, as you said, it's more like a propaganda for her book. It's not a propaganda, but
before I started bitching and ranting about that, did you feel after you watched the documentary, did you feel a little like it was propaganda?
I thought it's promotional, and I thought that it's not doing anything for people. I mean, some people like me, we read the book, we hope for getting a little bit more. At least I wish I could see more of the impact, because I was so inspired after reading her book, and I wish that I could see more of people like me who has read her book and did something with their life. So I just want to see more of that, but I couldn't. I mean, I didn't get that. So that's why I thought that, it's basically just like a complimentary promotional material for her book. And it's not adding that much. But I still appreciate the fact that we see a little bit of audience engagement.
Well, I appreciate this conversation because I'm not going to watch it now. There's absolutely no reason to watch a promo for a book.
Yeah, actually
I'd just rather just read the book.
No, yeah, exactly. That's exactly. I'm really glad that we are three different persons now watch this, and every one of us can see what is the impact, what could be the impact of this documentary on different people. We have Sarah here who hasn't read the book, and she didn't get anything extra out of it, and because this documentary is not going about is not going deep about why Michelle Obama is unique and why her story is unique. It just covers so much that it's basically a complementary element of her book.
Got it.
Or it's like a complementary element to her book that is not something standalone by itself.
Got it. It's a bonus feature. Right on. Sarah, what were you going to say?
It had so many clips of stuff that she said during talk shows. And those are the parts that I liked the least. I know that they use the talk show clips to kind of drive the narrative forward. But there was nothing special about them. That talk shows, they're already out there. Why are you putting this in a film that is supposed to be about Michelle Obama? Or at least I thought it was supposed to be about Michelle Obama. And that's why I thought the bits where she was talking to the small groups or talking one-on-one with people, where she was she seems like a very good person she hears a story and she could connect to a person really well. So she has that charisma, but
she definitely has charisma and that politician-like ability to
she does. But I don't think the documentary really taught me much about her besides getting to know her personality a bit. And what was interesting,
what is her personality? She's serious person. She seems fun. and energetic.
I think she's very energetic, and she seems like she
had like the best forearms. It was like so toned.
Oh yeah. She, I don't know, she seems like she's the kind of person who can kind of like lead a room. She seems very sincere and genuine. Yeah, she seems like she'd be an awesome person to talk to.
Yeah.
But
yeah, I mean, like it all obviously depends on agenda, but I would seriously consider her, if she wanted to do something more in the political realm, and ran for something.
Which I don't get the impression that she wants to from that documentary.
Yeah, I mean, 8 years with all that, and then all the post shit, that they've had to deal with, Trump always fucking blaming everything on him. Like, who would want to fucking expose their family back to that, but...
And that's a really hard thing to put a family through.
Yeah. All right. So, anything, I mean, I'm glad. Thank you, and sorry if I came off like confrontational or anything. I just, my time is precious. I've got the challenge on MTV to watch. My time is valuable. Okay, so I needed to know if I should watch the documentary Becoming, and now I can skip it. So.
Okay, actually, you know what? I'm really glad that we have this conversation and you raise those questions, because if you are after like to learn more about Michelle Obama,
you should just read the book.
You should just read the book. This documentary is not doing that much for you, rather than they're just giving you like, I don't want to use the word shallow, but it just like gives you...
No, I would use the word shallow.
Like a surface level.
Yeah, it's just like surface level of so many different things.
Yeah.
I still appreciate the parts that so Sarah, you mentioned that you don't get why they cover like different talk shows. So I know. So the reason they did that is that basically the premise of this documentary. The documentary maker didn't have more access rather than to following her on her book tour. So those talk shows are basically her material that she needs to work out with. And
I know that it was so not engaging at all.
So the thing that she tried to do is that she tried to like rip different parts of like different talk shows and put them together to form a storyline and kind of like mimic her life stage from her childhood to the time that she was like older. And so they use the talk shows as like sound bites to include her story and cover her life story. But I still like the parts that one of my favorite parts of this documentary was like her interaction with her family, like her mom and her brother. And
that was the intimate part of the documentary.
Yes. So those parts were like interesting, and like I like to see more. I mean I kind of was hoping for more. So Mike, we were just telling that how the parts that reflects the relationship of Michelle Obama's with her mother and her brother and a little bit her daughter was one
How
of
old
our...
is Michelle again? She's like in her 50s, right?
She's 50.
Yes. She was born in the 60s, I think.
She born on 64. In 64, yeah.
Damn, she looks young still, dude.
I know, right?
Yeah.
She looks good.
Yeah. So she had a close relationship with her mom.
With her mom and her dad, and I like
her brother
and her brother. Like her dad passed away like a long time ago, but still in the documentary, she expressed a little bit the backstory about her father and her grandfather, and it was like engaging because you will learn about all these characters throughout the book. That seeing the documentaries and seeing the faces and seeing the house that she's growing up, it's interesting. But if you haven't read the book, it just felt so out of place to all of a sudden goes to her house, you know.
It did.
So yeah, you see, so I totally understand, like, from the perspective of a person who doesn't know anything about her and her life story, and they just want to watch and learn more about her, and they want to tune in to Netflix documentary, and they all of a sudden they will get so confused, why this and that. So
Yeah, because the general format of the documentary is they show like some like behind the scene things, some like clip of the talk show, and then they switch to like her interacting with the public, and then they show like a little bit of like family and like
So it didn't
intimate
quite
moments.
flow in a logical like
And they kind of
perspective
like
sense.
circle between all of those bits.
Okay,
And
let me ask you
to
this:
me, it seemed kind
we
of
worked together
illogical.
and we've created some stories together. Let me ask you this: what is one thing that you two liked about it, and what are some things that they could have done to make this a more interesting doc? So, anyone, Sarah, why don't you go first?
Okay. Well, I liked watching her, as I said before, I liked watching her interactions with the public in the small settings. So there were lots of times where they showed her talking to like a small circle of people or conversing one on one during a book signing. And those were the parts where she seemed the most herself, I think. Because like the talk shows seemed kind of like sanitized, and I did like watching the interactions with her family was nice. I didn't get as much out of it since I didn't read the book, so I didn't really care much about these characters. But what I think they could have done better is establish a more clear narrative and actually give a little bit more information about Michelle Obama. Because it did feel like it was a companion piece to her book. So, which I have not read, so I don't get as much out of it. But I don't know. They also seemed kind of reluctant to be more candid and to give a more intimate portrayal because they talked about in the documentary the bad press that she got from being just herself and how she would like at first do the campaign speeches unscripted and she would just say things off the cuff, but then she got a lot of backlash for it, so she became more scripted. She became more protective of like her family and who she is, and so it seems like that feeling of needing to protect herself kind of like carried over into that documentary.
yeah, very good point. I totally agree with you. Like, I felt that the times that we have seen her with the audience and like her like fans, let's call them fans, because some of the people who were uh in the show basically were her book readers and her fans in a sense. So I found those moments really like genuine and authentic, like the kind of basically let's say the kind of relationship and openness that Michelle Obama has towards the people or like younger generations, people who were touched by her stories. It was it was truly authentic, and I wish that we could have more of that. And again, when Mike told me that, oh, what do you think it's the main story of this documentary? I thought that if it is about the impact that Michelle Obama has on people, especially like younger generations and people who don't see themselves worthy of achieving anything good in their life. If it's about that, I wish we could get more of that in the documentary and getting more of the clear storyline about those types of impact and interactions.
Yeah, I mean, I you know what? I guess I just have like a physical reaction to that because like, and I wish there was a metric to measure impactfulness of people when it comes to something as general as this. I just when those words flow into me and hearing about someone's impact on a group of people, like it doesn't mean anything to me because I just don't know what that means. You know what I mean? So, I mean, I get it. She elicits a sort of response and vibe and energy from the people that she meets. You know, I get it. It's just, to me, it's not something that's tangible. So I don't know what that means.
Yeah, so the way that they could have addressed it better in the documentary is that maybe they could have followed some of these people, because we see like different like young peoples in this movie, different young persons in this movie, that they were talking about the impact that she has on her life, and even we followed one of them into their house, to see that she has a similar lifestyle to young Michelle Obama, but we never get into deeper parts of her like story, like that person's storyline.
Like how,
okay,
like what has like literally happened in her life that had a direct relationship to how Michelle Obama impacted her. Because I mean, and that's what I mean. Like, you know, to hear that like someone's impactful on a group of people, why that sounds so nothing to me is because for example, in a comparable relevant documentary, The Last Dance, Kobe Bryant straight up looks into the camera and says, I hate when people compare me to Michael Jordan because people don't understand. He gave me so much advice. There is no me without him. He is the reason why I won 5 championships. It's a very specific, you know, like, oh, okay, he did something very specific that affected someone in a very specific way. You know what I mean? So
yes,
that it sounds like they didn't follow up, and maybe they had an opportunity to with this, you know, kid who
It was very surface level.
yeah, it was surface level, and we didn't get more than that. Oh, people now they wanna like study harder or going to the college. I wish we could see. I wish we could see the receipts for that, like that. Oh, a person actually got accepted into Harvard because she's so inspired by her that now she wanna follow her footsteps.
Right.
Or
Yeah. Like, I mean, does a speeching, and I don't know how to measure it, so it's a foolish thing to complain about. But yeah, I mean, like if she had a speaking engagement with the school, it'd be nice to know that, oh yeah, after her speeches, you get a 5% return on, you know, test scores or something like that, you know, because there's this extra motivation when she comes into town or something like that. Or because of a program that she helped push and sponsor, this led to that, you know what I mean? And so those are tangible things to me. To hear that she's just impactful and people like her is
actually the impact, that kind of impact that you were just talking about, it's well documented, because back in Barack Obama's presidency, Michelle Obama gave a talk in like a school to not very advantaged students, and a few years afterwards, the average GPA of the class that she was giving the talk to them, just like rocketed. Like,
oh well, why couldn't they have said that in the documentary?
yes,
yeah,
exactly.
that's awesome.
If there is something,
Did they
like
mention
that,
it in the book, and do they cite any sources?
yeah, it is well mentioned in the book, and it's also mentioned in like some of like the educational reviews, like journals, like professional, like I mean, written.
Yeah, that's awesome. If she's some sort of like Pied
Educational
Piper,
research
or,
journals.
you know,
Yeah.
like if she can, you know, walk in and have that sort of like effect, then yeah, awesome. Okay.
Yeah,
Then that is special. I mean, not many people can have a specifically, you know, profound effect on a large group of people. You know, we know Obama had it because, you know, you get up on stage, he gets up on stage and you're mesmerized. So I knew she had it, but to hear that like some tangible results came out of it is pretty cool.
Yeah,
That
it is.
Why don't they put that in the documentary?
Yeah, that's why I'm saying that a lot of things were like shallow and basically like just scratching the surfaces of the things. It was, and I'm getting that because we have to also consider the context for this documentary. So basically, the documentary, there was not a crew even involved. This documentary is made by one girl and another sound person, and basically it's like a 2-person team. And at the beginning, Obama's like production company.
No wonder they had to use a bunch of talk show footage.
Yeah, No, they contacted this girl and said that, oh, we are not sure what we want you to do, but we just want you to go on a tour with Michelle's and like her like tours, book tours, and just film her.
Mm-hmm.
And they told her that, oh, we might want to keep it.
No wonder we got this result. Yeah, I've worked like that before, and that is not ideal at all.
I don't blame the filmmaker at all.
Yeah.
Because I'm sure that was a very hard position, but
yeah, we talked about this in another podcast, right? I mean, this is one of the detriments of walking into a project where that's sort of the scope of work, right? Is to just film, and at the end of it, we'll think about what we're going to make then, you know.
And you can tell from the documentary that it's like that, because I felt like watching it, I felt like it was an afterthought.
Right.
They were like, oh, we have all this different kind of footage, maybe we can put it together
and that's not to say that you wouldn't have to film the same amount, but just to have no structure, like no bare bone outline of, oh, it's going to end up something like this, things to keep in the back of your head while you're actually filming, then you can run into what it sounds like the problems that this documentary ran into as well, which is, a proper intriguing, narrative.
Yes.
So. And
I wondered, like, how much of the stuff was forced upon the documentary makers, because literally the parts that Michelle Obama in the documentary were talking about her hard moments in during Barack Obama's presidency, like the fist bump, or like she going off the script, and the amount of like negative publicity she received. So I thought that those moments might be forced on the filmmakers to include in the movie, so Michelle Obama could give like another, like, let's say another defense about, or another like look to those times. So some parts of like the documentaries and the stories might be forced upon the filmmaker as well. So, but
it seems like they tried to cover a wide range of topics.
Yeah, too much.
Yeah, kind of too much.
Trying to cram too many things.
It just kind of felt like a salad with too many elements inside.
Ooh, buffets are rarely good, right?
Yeah.
I think
does it lead to diarrhea too if you watch this documentary? Like buffets.
I think that the problem is not being too much of like details. The problem is just lack of solid storyline, and lack of probably the proper pre-production stages, like lack of storyboards, because a lot of stuff just happened. And this girl, this documentary maker, probably she was just filming, and then as Sarah said, it was more like an afterthought about the things that they want to include in this like 90 minutes feature like documentary film. So I wish there was more of a clear line of story.
And I don't think they really transitioned well between the topics either, because I felt like I never knew what was coming.
That's true. There was no building up the anticipation. Literally.
This is how it was presented to me, is that this was a Netflix documentary about Michelle Obama. Is this the way that it's been promoted, or is this promoting, or has this documentary from Netflix been promoted as something else? Has it been promoted as just her book tour, like a 1 year of her life sort of thing? Or was it promoted as, this is Netflix documentary Michelle Obama? Because that's how it was presented to me. So
I think the way it presented to me was like, oh, it's basically her book tours, because I the first place that I've read about it was like Michelle Obama's like social media. So she never promoted it as like a documentary about herself. It was just like something covering about her book tours. But
I think the Netflix summary says like an intimate look at Michelle Obama's life before and during and after the White House.
Okay. So
something like that.
Okay.
So I think
I was trying to give him an out, like if if the synopsis was, this is a documentary on the 1 year where Michelle Obama spoke to some people and went on tour promoting her book, then that's an out, but if they present it like that, and from what I've heard, then it still could have used improvement. And I guess I'll agree with both of you too. Like, we don't know what the circumstances are with the filmmaker and what the directive was from the beginning. And I don't want people to think that you could script and storyboard an entire documentary about someone from in pre-production. You can't do that. I mean, you can create an outline and an arc and have a tone and a focus and a visual style and a motif, and know what you're going to concentrate on and highlight. But you are in a documentary filming a lot of shit, because you just never know, right? Documentary is life. Some things will happen and occur. So it's not like you can storyboard all the frames and scenes to a story. But anyways, okay. It sounds like you both sort of agree though, right? Interesting person, 100%. Deserving person to have her story told, 100%. Becoming Netflix, the documentary, could use improvement, probably.
Yes.
100%.
Much improvement.
Okay.
Much improvement. Actually, I was like about to ask Sarah about her vision of like the cinematography, because I thought that might be also kind of like messy, but I've read that it was like basically one person filming, aside from the talk shows that probably they use other footage. But
the cinematography didn't really stand out to me as
it
much
was just like
anything.
regular.
I could tell a lot of scenes were handheld, and it didn't look especially like pretty, or it just, I don't know, it looked kind of like normal handheld documentary. It wasn't really,
because I was all the time comparing to another higher ground production documentary, which by the fact we covered, American Factory, that every shot was a beautiful shot in that documentary. So
every shot that was on sticks was a beautiful shot. They also did over the shoulder ENG handheld stuff. Those weren't pretty, but everything that was on sticks looked like a photograph.
Yeah, but here there was no such thing. Like, there wasn't any like standing moments, for me at least, that I was thinking that, oh, that's a beautiful shot. There was none of that. So
nope.
Yeah. Okay.
I don't know why I just didn't do that. I was like filming some other things before, and I was like, trying to hide the mic, but we're fucking doing a podcast. I'm like,
why are you trying to hide the mic?
Yeah, I know. I was like, what the hell, dude? Shit.
Yeah.
I was like, that's so much better, instead of fucking, did you see what I was doing earlier? I was doing this. I was like talking into my crotch. I was like,
is that why your head was so low?
Yeah, I hope it didn't look like I was doing something suspicious. Doing something dirtier than I meant to. I was like, no, I was talking into the mic, damn it, this mic. Fuck.
It's kind of like if you're sitting somewhere and you don't want someone to see you're looking at your phone.
Oh, yeah. No, I'm so fucking red-faced now. Like, fuck, what did it look like? Holy shit.
You were very suspicious.
All right, folks. Well, do you guys want to do our tribute to the American flag? That's why I have it up. We should probably
tribute to the American flag.
Yeah, pledge our allegiance to the.
I haven't done that since high school.
I am the national of an enemy country, so I don't know how it would be proper for me that as an Iranian.
Hey, nah, I see the same. Before I go though, if I don't talk to you over the weekend, and for anyone out there, if you're looking for something to watch, I discovered a little gem. It might be not a hidden gem anymore. It might be talked about more. I'm not sure. But have you guys heard of the dramedy Half of It?
Of it? No.
Oh, okay. It's kind of like a coming of age story. It stars this Asian chick in high school. That's not pertinent, but hey, whatever. She was Asian. It's a beautiful dramedy. It's so well made and touching. So if you're struggling for shit to watch, it sounds like you can skip Becoming, and I'd say go watch half of it.
Is it on Netflix?
I think so.
Okay, I'm on it.
Yeah.
Because everything you suggest me, I'm just like jumping on it like a pig.
Except for One Cut of the Dead. Fucking
I was about to
$5.
say.
You both haven't seen it yet. Shit.
I thought we were gonna do it for a podcast.
I know we should. Well, no, we don't have to. Like, I'm afraid now my memory's like incorrect, and I've hyped it up so much that it's like just a good movie and not like deserving of how many times I bring it up. Maybe I gotta rewatch it first.
That thing is that I'm afraid that I spoiled that movie for myself because I was reading about it.
Oh, did you? So do you
Oh.
know what happens in the middle?
I know what will I know the premise of the movie and I know the storyline. So
Okay,
I
well,
just
let's not
don't-
fuck it up for Sarah then.
Okay, yeah.
Don't spoil me. Wait, I can't
So
cover
yeah,
my
it's funny.
ears.
Why did you do this?
Don't read about it. Don't read about it.
Yeah, but if you're looking for like a sweet, funny, and not predictable coming of age romantic comedy, dramedy, half of it.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah,
That's all.
and I just want to watch Unorthodox. I've heard it's a good.
I haven't heard that. What is that?
It's on Netflix.
Series,
I'm-
movie.
It's like a series, I think. It's called Unorthodox or Orthodox. Yeah,
Okay.
basically, it's about like a
Jewish
single
people?
girl.
Oh. Sorry.
Yeah, it might be. I don't know. I've heard from like some people that it's a cool one because the story is about like a girl that she's like raising. She's growing up in like a very like basically controlled environment from her parents. I don't know. So now she is like gaining some freedom and she's like experiencing other stuff. So it's an interesting story.
Drama, sci-fi, comedy,
Probably drama.
drama. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, right on. So unorthodox, half of it. And go ahead and skip Becoming.
I've been
Just read the damn book.
Yeah,
Yeah.
read the damn book.
Just read the book. Please. I feel like I should read the book now. I don't know.
It's good. I have the audiobook. I can lend it to you.
All right, folks. Do you guys have anything that you want to shout out to people before we head out? Otherwise, I think we're pretty good.
Yay! No.
Oh,
it
Lucy
was-
wants to say what's up. Does she have an Does Lucy have an
Lucy
Instagram
wants to say what's up.
to the people? Look how cute.
Look at
Hold
that
on.
haircut.
Hold on. Let me get a close up.
She does not, but she should.
Hold on. There's the arrow.
She's looking all
Okay,
clean and fresh.
talk Sarah so it switches to you. Let me switch to you.
This is Lucy, and she got a haircut recently, so she's very happy, but she's a little cold. I should put a sweater on you. Yeah. Aren't you adorable? You know you're adorable. She acts like a spoiled princess. She knows she's the baby.
Right on. All right.
Yeah.
Lucy got her
Okay.
close up, so
Yes, Lucy got her cameo, so I'm happy.
thank you, Yaz. Thank you, Sarah.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you guys.
Nice talking to you too. All right, people out there, take care. Have a nice day.
Bye.
Oh well, shit. I should have had my cursor ready. Just keep on saying bye.
Oh, I already. Yeah, bye. Let's keep saying bye.